Right, hi everyone. Welcome to this edition of Believe in Bills. Adam Benigni of WGRZ TV, Sports Talk Live Buffalo. Sal Maiorana, Rochester Democrat and Chronicle. In the wake of the Bills' first loss of the season, 23-20 to the New England Patriots Sunday Night Football in Orchard Park. Sal, greetings. How would you
Greetings.
characterize that one? Is that reality check? How would you term it?
Yeah, reality check is probably a good way of putting it. I would offer shitty. The Bills were, I thought they were shitty all night long. They were not good. I mean, the defense had some moments, kept them in the game really because the offense just struggled with everything they were doing, including the turnovers, which is very unusual for a Bills team. But look, we talked about it before the game, Adam. I mean, we both chickened out and picked the Bills, but I had every expectation it was going to be a really tough game. And I even said it in a few different places that I would not be surprised if they lost. This Patriots team is way better than people think. I kind of laughed during the week how everyone just see, 8.5-point spread. It's the Patriots are no good. What are you talking about? If you watched any of their games, they could be 5-0 if they weren't so stupid in the opener against the Raiders, who stink, and then 5 turnovers against the Steelers. They're 5-0. So, I mean, even our guest last week, Chris Price, wasn't really buying in at this point. So I had every expectation it was going to be tough. And man, Adam, all of a sudden they go from cruising down easy street in the division to, by the end of next week, they could be out of first place. Right. Because the Patriots have 3 lousy teams on their schedule. The Bills got to go to Atlanta, which won't be easy either.
Yeah, it's amazing how quickly things can change. And, that result the other night where the Bills did so much to beat themselves, which we're going to talk about in just a minute. I want to get some Monday news out of the way first, though, before we kind of delve into that and start to look ahead to Atlanta on the injury front, right? Here's Matt Milano again, making news with a re-aggravation of that pectoral. They're hopeful for Ed Oliver, so that's a good thing. And then Dorian Strong seeing a neck specialist with kind of a cloudy outlook on what that might entail. There's a pretty fair degree of significance there when assessing that situation.
Yeah, look, I mean, I'm thinking that Oliver was probably close this past weekend. I mean, he did practice. Now, we don't get to see what they're really doing. You know that, Adam. They don't show us anything, but he was a limited participant. But I would think he was getting pretty close. You just watch him walk around the facility. I mean, I know playing defensive tackle is a different deal than walking around the facility, but he doesn't seem to be having that much trouble getting around. So I would think he'll be close to getting ready to go. And they really need him with this Atlanta team and Bijan Robinson. So that'd be good. Milano, look, I think we're at a point now, Adam. You can't rely on him. Whatever you get is gravy, it feels like, with Matt Milano. It's one of the reasons why they came to the mutual decision to shorten his contract and give him a chance to go into free agency next year. I don't see the Bills bringing him back. I mean, why would you at this point? You just can't count on him. So that'll hurt. I don't know where Dorian Williams stands. Quite frankly, he hasn't been very good. So I'm perfectly good with Shaq Thompson stepping in. Speaking of news, by the way, they just announced a few minutes ago, the great Balin Spector will be back in the building, signed to the practice squad. So you got that going for you. Balin Spector, also a really reliable guy on the injury front. So, yeah, the injuries are, and the Dorian Strong one you mentioned, and we can get into this a little bit more because it definitely looks to a broader picture. They are in big trouble at cornerback. Tre'Davious White is just not a good player. He's just not, Adam. And I wrote about it. It's going to be publishing at some point this week, that it's still a head scratcher to me that they re-signed him. I don't know what they thought they were going to get. So there's that piece of it. Christian Benford, Adam, has not been good.
No.
He got the big count. He's been the worst cornerback on the team. If you go to Pro Football Focus's, how they chart things, he's been the most targeted. He's given up the most completions, and he's given up 4 touchdowns. That's Christian Benford, who's supposed to be your top guy. And then they have nobody behind them, right? Darian Strong is out. Where do you go? Jamarcus Ingram? Are you kidding me? Dane Jackson off the practice squad? Brandon Codrington, unplayable. He's a healthy scratch because he's so unplayable. They got a huge problem at quarterback. I'm not sure how they're going to address it. I guess they're going to keep rolling Trey White and Benford out there and hope it gets better. But man, from the Trey White side, I mean, I think the Benford side will get better, but do you see Trey White being better? I don't.
No, no, not at all. And so now, and it's amazing, I mean, when the offense is held under 30 points for the first time in the season,
Mhm.
we've talked about we focused on the defense a lot in our discussions here on this show and others, and all of a sudden those vulnerabilities become much more acute, right? When the offense isn't putting up the numbers that it has been, at least it had been through the first 4 games. All right, this is Believe in Bills presented by FanDuel. FanDuel still has the Bills as your Super Bowl favorite at plus 500, but I'll tell you what, you're not going to be a Super Bowl contender if you lose the turnover battle 3-1, which obviously is highly uncharacteristic of them, although they've been getting away with a few, right? But it caught them. They lose it 3-1 and 11 penalties for 90 yards
After
against New England.
they had 11 the week before too.
Right.
So,
I mean, talk about doing everything you can to beat yourself. Those numbers are going to do in most NFL teams, and they certainly did the Bills in on Sunday night.
yeah, I mean, look, nobody should be panicking. They lost to a good team. I firmly believe the Patriots are going to be in this thing the rest of the season. I think Buffalo's still the better team overall, but they weren't on Sunday night. So nobody should be panicking yet. But I'll tell you what, Adam, you look at how the season has played out so far, and we all thought the Ravens win was great. We thought they beat a Super Bowl team that night, right? It was unbelievable. Well, they've gone in the tank ever since. They're 1-4. Bill's first 4 wins, Adam, have come against teams that are a combined 3-17.
Mm-hmm.
So and then they come up against a Patriots team that, like we said, is probably, when you look at it now, given where Baltimore is, the Patriots might be the best team they face. Now, maybe not. Baltimore is so banged up. When they get their people back, they're going to be better. But it begs the question, what is this Bills team? I mean, are we looking at a true Super Bowl contender? They're 4-1. They've beaten who they're supposed to beat. But, man, you look at the schedule, they haven't beaten anybody. So you have to wonder where this team really is at this point.
Well, and look what New England did to them, right? To kind of accent the point you just made, right? They took away the run. I mean, James Cook, 15 for 49.
Yep.
Right? They're a very good run defense, and they made that. They actually, we talked about this on Sports Talk Live on our show on Monday night in Buffalo. Vic Carucci made the point. But, I mean, they actually said, okay, we're not going to give you James Cook. We're going to play to our strength defensively, take that away. They, in man coverage, basically dared Allen to beat him with his arm, right?
Yep.
And if ever there was a game that illustrated the shortcomings of this receiving core and the point that Brandon Beane has not wanted to hear, but as productive as they can be and everybody eats and all of that, you go against a defense that can take a significant aspect of that balance away. And all of a sudden, no separation, guys not open, right? And that's what you saw. There's 20 points on the scoreboard. There's your result. There's your reality check in a lot of ways right there.
Look, we've talked about it all year. Their wide receiver room is middling. I would call it middling, right? Dalton Kincaid stepped up. They took advantage of some opportunities because, like you said, they were taking the run away, and they took advantage of some great opportunities with Dalton Kincaid. The Patriots do not defend the middle of the field well. Their safeties and linebackers are average at best, and good for the Bills for getting Kincaid involved finally. But you've got to have your wide receivers chipping in. I mean, what is your passing game if it's just going to the tight end? And they only threw him 6 balls. It was 6 targets. It wasn't like he was like a 15-target guy. It was only 6. Their wide receivers, Adam, Joshua Palmer, I really liked the signing. I mean, I trumpeted the signing. I thought he was exactly the kind of guy they were going to need. They were going to make people forget about the stupid Curtis Samuel signing, which hasn't worked out at all, obviously. He's worse than Samuel early. I mean, he didn't have the excuse of getting hurt in training camp like Samuel did last year, which was a big reason why he started so slowly. Palmer came in ready to go. He's done nothing. He's got 12 catches in 5 games. Absolutely nothing from him. Curtis Samuel is still basically nothing. He's the kick returner now. And we can have a whole conversation about Keon Coleman.
That's where I was going to go next. But if you want to go to Coleman, I was just going to ask you, what's your take on where things stand with him, with coach discipline again, and all of this BS? And I don't mean to cut you off, but I'll just interject and you take it from where I finish. He, given the list you just went down, he's effectively your number one,
Yeah.
right? And what the hell is he? What is he?
It's a great question. They still don't know. That's the problem. Look, Adam, hindsight's 2020. Okay. We know this. I was not enamored by the pick in any way. I mean, he came into Buffalo with the yellow coat and the Wegmans cookies, and all the fans loved him. I never buy into rookies until I actually see what they're going to do in the NFL. I don't care about their college tape, their college stats. Get to the NFL and let me see what you can do. Well, he came to the NFL last year and he had 2 good games in the middle of the year against the Titans and the Seahawks. And it looked like he was going to start emerging. And then we all know what happened. He got hurt against the Dolphins and he went completely dead. The rest, he missed, I think it was 4 games, came back. I think I was like 12 catches in the last 7 games of the season, counting the playoffs. Bean and McDermott both said in their offseason press conference they were disappointed with how he came back from that injury. So now we hear all summer long he worked hard in the offseason and he did this and he did that and he's coming back. And now the knucklehead did something this week to get disciplined again, because it happened last year. He had to sit out the first series against the Jacksonville game for, I think it was being late to a team function. The kid is immature, okay? He is exactly the player he was in college, okay? No really true elite speed. He's a good runner, but not elite. He cannot separate. He makes contested catches. That was his draft profile. Now you get to the NFL where you're playing men who are the best in the world at what they do. His speed is hurting him. He does not get open still. And contested catches, he had a couple chances the other night. Marcus Jones is 5'8". He outpositioned Keon Coleman for a ball that was a 50-50. Keon Coleman is a mediocrity. And if the Bills think he's their number one guy, they got big problems on their hands.
Right, exactly. And underscoring that, back comes Steph Diggs with 10 receptions for 146 yards in the game. He was absolutely terrific. I mean, credit to him. The way he handled the whole thing and the way the energy he brought, the leadership he showed in the game. We've seen that from him, right? And obviously during his time in Buffalo, and how effective he was for so long. But coming off the injury and with all the history and everything else, to come in and to really let the performance on the field speak for itself and have a phenomenal impact on the game. I mean, he was our player of the game on Monday night on Sports Talk Live, hands down choice, and deservedly so. And even having lost a step illustrates what the Bills don't have.
Exactly. I mean, he came in, 11 months off of ACL surgery. For a wide receiver, like a cornerback, like Trey White, that's a major injury. And he had 146 yards. The 5 Bills receivers who were active had 130 total. I mean, Steph Diggs is no longer a number one type receiver, but he was the best receiver on that field by about 8 miles on Sunday night. And that is a stark indication of where the Bills are at that position. Now, again, why are we bitching about this? They've scored 30 points 4 games in a row. They had a rough night the other night. People were probably wondering, what the hell's wrong with you guys? Their offense is fine. Yeah, their offense is fine, but they need to get more from their wide receiver group, because if they don't, teams are going to start doing what the Patriots did. If they haven't already tried already, they just played lousy teams who couldn't execute it. They're going to try to take James Cook away, and they're going to dare Josh Allen to beat them through the air. And as scary as that may sound, because he is the reigning MVP, what did he do best the other night? Scramble for yards, as opposed to, and throw the ball to Kincaid, as opposed to getting anybody the ball in the receiver group. That's what these teams are going to do moving forward. And the Bills have got to find a way to be better outside on the edge.
And I don't want to make too much of it either, but his interception, not a good decision.
Yeah, I don't even know if it was the decision, because he sort of said this after the game, and rewatched it. It's probably true. The decision was right. The ball placement was bad. I mean, he had Shakir. If he had thrown a good ball, it's probably caught. It was a bad ball placement. So I'm not going to kill him for that. I'll sort of kill him for the fumble, I mean, I guess it's Joe Brady, though, for calling the stupid play to have Dawson Knox run a reverse. But that was on Allen for sure. And I just think a couple times, Adam, what was strange, I think he was a little bit spooked in the pocket. He left a clean pocket a couple times and tried to make plays out on the edge. Either he ran the ball or threw a pass. I think there was, I don't know what the Patriots were exactly doing in their pass rush. I'm not smart enough to understand it, but he left a clean pocket a couple times. In fact, on the last play, I think on the last play, I saw a pretty good video breakdown. If he had stayed in the pocket, maybe a step early, or a second early or longer, I think it was Curtis Samuel who got open downfield and it could have been a touchdown. He left the pocket, rolled out, and tried to fit it into Shakir on a play that should have been pass interference. I mean, I know it was close, but the way they called the game all night, they could have called interference there. Anyway, if he had stayed in the pocket, he might have had a game-winning touchdown there. So there were other things besides the pick that I thought Allen struggled with. That was one of them.
And lastly, just, you talked about all of a sudden it's a race in the division now. We'd spent a deal of time with Christopher Price talking about Drake May and how he's come along. And if you want to, you make him the centerpiece of this point, but certainly for Vrabel and for the organization, that is a massive win in terms of the turnaround, the rebuild he's trying to do and what he's trying to create there in New England. If ever there was a game that validated to a great degree the message he's sending and what they're trying to do, it's that win over Buffalo. I think it's amplified for that reason.
I mean, it's a statement win for the Patriots. We all knew this. I mean, they were 4-13 last year in May's first season. That was obviously his most significant win of his career. And Vrabel, for him, look, the guy's a good head coach. I mean, say what you want about Vrabel. We hated him as a Patriot and all that. We didn't like him too much when he was with the Titans. There were some words between the Bills and Titans when he was the head coach there. The guy's a good coach. And you knew when they hired him that now there was going to be a guy who could actually put an organization together. You couple that with all the money they had to spend in free agency. And by the way, they still have a shit ton of money under the cap to go get more guys next year. Mm-hmm. And it looks like they added some good guys in the draft to put around Drake May. So they found their coach. They clearly have found their franchise quarterback. It's early. I know it's only, game 5 of his second season, but he looks the part, Adam.
No,
he dissected the Bills the other night. And again, that's not such a big deal, I don't think, because their secondary is not good, but he was the better quarterback. I hate to admit it. And I'm sure Bills fans would loathe to admit it. He was better than Allen the other night. And he was a big reason why they won the game.
Well, I mean, he, in terms of accuracy is much further along than Allen was at that point.
He was leading the league before he even came into the game in accuracy. And he was just as good.
There's that. And you could argue maturation too, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, the composure he showed last year with nothing around him on that roster, right? And then I'm not taking anything away from Josh. This is about May and where he's at a very early stage. I know it's early in his career, but when you say they've got a franchise quarterback, that's what I look to. I look to some of those indicators. And he's miles along in a lot of key areas. So, yeah, I mean, if it doesn't wind up being this year, that's the team that's going to rise up and challenge Buffalo.
Absolutely. I think the Patriots, and we're sick about it if you're a Buffalo fan, because for 2 decades, that team, they just created so much scar tissue. It's unbelievable, but they are back. I really do firmly believe that if they stay healthy, we say that about everything. Every comment we make has to be, they've quantified by if they stay healthy, because if they stay healthy, they've got a good roster and they're going to be a problem for the Bills. Adam, we saw it last year. Drake May came into Buffalo in December and had the Patriots up 14-0 in a game they only won by 3 points. In fact, the Bills may not have won the game if he hadn't made the bad mistake at his own goal line and Taron Johnson had the scoop and score inside the 5-yard line. It was a 24-21 Bills victory. We saw it was starting to happen last year. Now you put good players around them, and look at the result the other night. So they're going to be right in this thing. They've got their 4th place schedule. I mean, they've got, is it Titans, Saints, Browns, the next 3 games?
I think you're right, yeah.
They could be in first place. They could actually be in first place in the next week or two with the Bills having a bye week and then going to Atlanta, which we'll talk about, I'm sure, on Thursday. That's not going to be a gimme either. So yeah, it's amazing how one game in the NFL, it's not hockey, basketball, and football or baseball. One game makes a humongous difference in the standings. And this was example A of that.
So they come off the homestand now, 2-1 on the 3 straight games at home and head for Atlanta Monday night. Falcons 2-2 coming off a bye week, we should point out. So you mentioned Robinson, the ability to run the football or whatever. FanDuel has that line along with others at Bills by 3.5. Bills minus 3.5 on the road. Some questions about Buffalo coming out of that loss to the Patriots. How much of a problem could Atlanta be?
I think it could be a big problem because they've got a guy like Bijan Robinson. He's Derrick Henry, only younger, basically. Last year, I think he was 3rd or 4th in the league in yards from scrimmage. And we talk about James Cook yards from scrimmage. This guy had way more yards from scrimmage than Cook. I think he had 15 touchdowns total last year. Already this season, he's 4th in yards from scrimmage, and he's played one less game than everybody ahead of him because of the bye. So he is a problem. And against this Bills run defense, that is going to be something to really be concerned about. Also, Adam, he's a good pass receiver. And given Buffalo's linebacker situation, Shaq Thompson, look, he's a good player, a great guy to have on your team, especially with Milano out. If they get him in space, Bijan Robinson against Shaq Thompson, that's going to be a problem too. So he's a load, and they're going to have a tough time with him. So the offense is probably going to have to come up and play another great game because I don't see this defense having a real great game against Bijan Robinson. Michael Penix, different story. We'll see. Right. I'm not sold on him yet, but Bijan Robinson and Drake London, the receiver, very good players.
All right, so much more on that on our Thursday edition. We're lining up a guest right now, Falcon-centric, so we'll be able to get into the details of what they do well and where they might be vulnerable. So that's going to do it for this edition of Believe in Bills. For Sal Maiorana of the Rochester Democrat and Chronicle, I'm Adam Benigni, WGRZ TV. Sports Talk Live, Buffalo every Monday night, 7 o'clock on Channel 2. And, oh, by the way, we'll be broadcasting the game on Channel 2 Monday night as well with a special pregame show, pregame edition Sports Talk Live starting at 6:30. So we get that plug in. And that's going to do it. So for Sal, I'm Adam. And thanks very much for being with us here on Believe in Bills, presented by FanDuel.